What's going on, guys? So Alpaca back. I don't make many videos, but I figured I'd make a video on my Bugout bag. Some people like to call it a survival bag. You know, there's multiple different ways that you can use it. You can even use it for camping and stuff like that. This is more of like an emergency type bag that has a lot of practical items in it for the most part. And I just wanted to share it with you guys, and I'll provide all the links to the items in the description and whatnot, but let's jump right in. This is what the bag looks like. As you can see, it's a pretty standard bag. It's got a lot of pockets. Got a front pocket up here. It's got, which is the main pocket for your larger items, and it's got an additional, secondary larger pocket, which, for your smaller type stuff. And then it's got a pocket in the front as well. With these two side adjustable bag holders, which would be good for sleeping bags and camping equipment and stuff like that. And then you have an additional one for more storage, so there's plenty of space in this bag. The bag's around 35 pounds, and it has all of the items. So let's jump right into the first pocket, which is right here. I have it open. I already took everything out for the purpose of time. So the first thing that I would say everyone needs is some sort of water filter. You can get these things off Amazon. They're fairly cheap, $50, $60, which I would say is pretty cheap for the fact that it's one of, if not the most important items in the bag. Very simple filter, it comes with a tube, the carbon filter, instructions, a syringe, for wherever your source of water is. And then it's obviously got the unit itself. And then this is just Survivor filter. I did some research on a couple other ones, and then I stumbled across this, and it seemed like it had really good reviews. And it's very simple to use, simple to clean. And I think it can fill around, this is a guess, but like 1,000 water bottles, around 16 fluid ounces each. So, which I would say that would last a very long time before having to replace the filter, which you can purchase other filters as well. I'm not sponsored by any of the companies in this video, but I just wanted to more or less give you my opinion on the next thing I have is just a couple things of rope. Some people have other types of rope that are more elastic. This is just literally an Amazon basic rope, bare bones type thing. I didn't even open it up. But you need rope for all different types of things, tying stuff down, making. The next thing, which is extremely important, which this isn't a full-on medical kit, but this is a more improvised one. We have Advil, just bandages, medical tape, band-aids, Q-tips, surgical gloves in there, and pretty much the basics. If you were to have an minor injury, I think everyone needs some sort of medical kit. And the range ponchos, I have 2 of these. Again, you can get these things cheap on Amazon. I'll include all the links to the description. Some of these items I had for a while, so I might not be able to find a regular knife. A utility knife. Got, I think, 15 tools, pliers, scissors. I'm not going to open up the entire knife because it would take a while to do, but just a simple utility knife that you can use for different applications. And it's also got this set of different bits that you can use for if you need to unscrew something, or you need like a socket, you have the ability to use the socket with it. So I like this one. It's fairly cheap, and it's got everything. So that wraps up the first pocket. The pocket is a pretty small pocket. I forgot to mention in the previous section that there is an additional pocket that's meant for more items that are accessible and stuff. So we just have this 14-ounce water bottle. Now I know you're probably saying this thing is tiny, which it is. It's 14 ounces. So you can obviously, I do have larger water bottles that I can interchange with this, which I probably should, but I do have a bladder that can hold water. So realistically, you can store the water in the bladder, and then just have some sort of small all-purpose gloves that you can use. You obviously want to protect your hands at all times. Next item is fire plugs, and these are just pretty much, you can ignite these and they will stay lit. Because if you don't have anything like kindling and stuff like that, it might be hard to start a fire. So this will allow you to pretty much light this, you know, put it on as kindling, and then gather whatever sort of wood or however you're going to be starting your little fire with. Back again to the next pocket. So essentially, the first item I'm going to show you is a small hatchet. Again, this is fairly cheap on Amazon, and all of these items are pretty much from Amazon, but it's very sharp. Definitely get the job done. You know, if you needed to cut wood or whatever it is. This is also something that I would say changing out for a larger knife is probably more ideal. I chose this because it's just more power with trying to cut something. So I mean, you can obviously have both, the pocket knife and then this. Most likely I will be changing this. It's just fishing line. You know, this could be used in multiple instances, I guess you could say. Good to have, 20-pound cast. Might not ever need to use it, but good to have in the shovel. This is like collapsible, so you can pretty much open this up, and it's portable. This is also something you don't need in the bag. I just chose to have digging purposes for whatever reason. I feel like having a small shovel could be beneficial. Camping stove that does not use propane or anything. You know, you just put wood. I'm not going to set it all up, but you essentially, you set it up and then you put wood in it, and then you use this little griddle right here, and then you can have you know, a little pot and cook whatever you need to cook on that. So that's something that you could set up, and then you can kind of have it like have the flame isolated inside the camping stove. And like I said, I prefer this just because you don't need to use propane, which propane is great, but it's obviously heavy to carry, and it's just more or less, it's bulky, and it relies on, you need the propane. If you don't have the propane, then obviously you could set something up where you can use it with wood, but I just went with that. So that's personal preference. Light. The next item, you know, it's definitely important to have a flashlight. I would say that's another item up there with the water filter. If you can't see, you can't really do it. Next thing is tape. Tape is good because you can use it in multiple instances. If you need to tape your tent, you need to tape some sort of rip on your pants, your shoes, whatever it is. It's Gorilla Tape. This is a pretty big roll. You definitely don't need this big of a roll. It's heavy, but you know, tape is, I would say, pretty important, so I chose the next one is the survival torch, which this is pretty cool because it's basically a strike anywhere. You can just use them. So like, this is another thing, you pretty much just strike that, there's a spark, you put the rope through this right here, and then you can control the flame. So if you're creating a fire or doing whatever you need to do, you have control over the flame rather than, you know, trying to use a lighter or something like that. It's a bigger flame, and you have more control over it, and you can light it anywhere. Just hand warmers and toe warmers. You know, it explains itself. Obviously, it depends on where you live. Maybe it's cold. Where I'm from in the eastern coast of the United States, it's definitely can get colder. So having some sort of way to heat your body is pretty important. So this is the final main pocket of the bag. So let's jump right into it. So the first item we have is just this titanium, like, cooking slash drinking cup. You know, you can heat water. It's so you can heat any water in it. You can cook food in it. It's, you know, it's pretty versatile. Good to have. This is just a camping sport, you know, so it's pretty simple. That's definitely something you want. The next thing that I have is, this is just a radio, but it's got a crank, so you can charge it, and which, when you charge it, this red light is indicating that the battery, but you know, it's got a light on it as well, which is good. It's a fairly good thing to have. This is, you know, obviously, again, I would say this isn't necessarily something that you do need, but you know, it's got a compass on it. So I would say it's a very versatile thing, radio and for whatever reason you need it, emergencies. Obviously you can't communicate on it. Some people, you know, they have like some sort of ham radio and that obviously could be. Thing is a headlamp, so obviously you can see I'm pretty flashlight heavy. We got a headlamp, which actually have to put batteries in it, which would be smart. And yeah, a headlamp's definitely a good thing. Item is just a bag of different things. We have toothpicks, water purifying tablets. We have these plasma lighters, you know, again, something that you don't necessarily need, Sharpie in there, and then electrical tape, and then some sort of charger, which I believe could be for the flat. Next item, which I would say this is one of the water purifier, is a jacket. Depending on where you live, this is fleece, so it's very warm and it's rain protective, you know, to protect you. So like that's very important to have depending on what you're wearing. Again, this is a survival bag, so this is assuming that obviously you can use it for camping or whatever, but let's just assume that you need to use this bag and you don't anticipate needing to use it. You know, you could be in a situation where you need to have a jacket. And now the next item is I have just electrolyte replenish. You know, it's just like a package of things you can put in your water. Again, I would say this is pretty important because it's such an underrated, I feel like, thing to have, where it's just like electrolytes, you know. However, you're gonna need that if you're actually using the bag, which that's, you know, if you need to use it, then basically these are just high protein. This is personal preference, just tuna and salmon in these packages, which this stuff lasts, you know, obviously it says it expires soon, but it lasts very. Survival food bag, which this is 72 hours. So this is the final section of the video. These are the last two side pockets that I showed previously, and I just put them all together just for the sake of the video. So let's jump right into it. So the first thing is an emergency blanket. This is a pretty low end one from Walmart, but you know, it'll get the job done. Some sort of either bandana or some sort of little towel, I think is important in any survival bag. You never know when you're gonna need to use that. Is some sort of shelter. Now this is called Badass hammocks, but it's like a rain fly. You can use it for all different purposes. You know, if you want to set it up on a tree, if you want to set it up like a hammock, whatever you need to do with it, you can use that, and it's got stakes in it. And like I said, you can utilize the rope to set it up however you want. So the next thing is just a pretty much adjustable pan that you can use, and it folds in like this, and you know, it's very compact, it's very light, it's stainless steel, so it's easy to clean, and it's perfect for camping because it's portable, and then you also have this food tray with it. The next thing I think every person should have this in some sort of survival bag is just a water bladder. And the reason why is because you can carry and store the water rather than having it just to drink. This has 2,000 milliliters. So I would say that's probably enough to cook and drink for maybe 2 days, depending on how active you are. You know, if you're really active, then obviously probably need more, but that is plenty of water to have on hand. And you know, you can refill it, it's portable. You can even attach the, you know, the nozzle through your bag and then have it while you're drinking. So I would say having a water bottle and a bladder is definitely beneficial of the water. Or then you have a tarp setting up wherever you're, you know, going. I was also thinking about replacing this with some sort of inflatable blanket, and like very compact, where you can just quickly pump it up or whatever, blow it up, and just rather than, this is definitely very practical, but I think that some sort of sleeping bag where you can pump it up would be more ideal. Essentials for hygiene: toothpaste, soap, toothbrush, nail clipper, toothbrush, and you know, just glasses case. And then the last thing is toilet paper. I would say that this is also something that is very important to have, as that is enough said for that, but you all know that you're gonna need that, especially if you're not near any like buildings or anything, or wherever you are, if you have to use a bag like a survival bag, or I like to quote unquote say bug out bag, because it's like it can be used in situations where you're just going. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed. This is the bug out bag completed. Everything's put away. The one thing I forgot to mention is it does have socks, which you should definitely have socks in it. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and maybe I'll make more content like this. This is the first ever video of making, survival type content. But I guess we'll see what happens. But thank you and enjoy. Stay fresh.